Hey, Classy Career Girl Network. Hey, everyone. It's day one of our challenge, so I am here with you guys to help you guys out, to answer any questions that you have about today's video. If you've seen it yet, or if you've not seen it, feel free to ask me any questions you have. Our topic today, really, we're going to talk about what was in the video, which is about your passion and your purpose and really figuring out what career you're supposed to do. Like, what are you supposed to be when you grow up? That question has come up a lot over the last few days. I asked you guys what your challenges and frustrations were, and I've seen that a lot. So we're going to dive into that. I'm not going to teach or train anything right now because that is all in the video that we sent out this morning. We've had some issues. Sometimes our emails are ending up in your spam folders, we've noticed this morning. So my team has been helping me out. We've been trying to get back to you guys, make sure that you have everything you need. I do want to introduce you to someone in case you have not seen him or met him. This company is run by myself and my husband, and so I want to make sure you guys know who he is. Hey, Mr. John Runyon.
That's me. If you have any questions, please either shoot an email to info@classycareergirl.com or reach out in the Facebook group, and I'll be happy to help you as much as I can.
Okay, so if you've noticed, I pass off like all your technical questions to him because he's like everything that happens at Classy Career Girl. If it's behind the scenes, he's on it. He knows what happens. Like, this business would not be here without him. So just so you know, this is hi Alex. Alex joined. She says hi husband. So this is a team here. So anyways, if you are just joining this group, if you kind of hi Charm from the Philippines, if you don't really know what we're talking about here with this challenge, all the information is at www.classycareergirl.com/challenge. This is a 4-day video challenge where we're walking you through how to fall in love with your work and life. Fall theme, because we just started September here, right? So really a good reminder of like what it is that we're supposed to do with our life, with our career, whether you're job searching or starting a business, whether you're kind of happy, but maybe you're not like totally in love with what you do and waking up excited. This is just a really good refresh. We do it only one time a year. So I'm really excited. If you can't tell, I love September. I put on a sweatshirt today because it's a little chilly. So I'm like super excited for fall here too. So today we talked about in the video, your best self. And I really want to read the definition that we put in the workbook for you as well, because I think it's just really, really important. And some of you haven't been able to check out the video and the workbook yet, and that's totally fine. Just follow along here because we're just going to be doing a really casual Q&A. So here is the Classy Career Girl definition of your best self. It's when you do something that serves others with your gifts and talents, and you lose track of time when doing it because you enjoy it so much. So if you're in my network, if you're, read my blog, you know that I'm not all about working for a paycheck, and that I believe in working in your career, in your life, for kind of a bigger purpose, for your why. Like, why are you going to work? And so I love this because, the people that are in our network, we're all working for something bigger. We're all working, to really use our gifts and talents in a bigger way and making a bigger impact in the world. And so that's my purpose. That's what I'm all about. And I know a lot of you guys in this group, most of you in this group, you're here because you want to do the same thing. So that's exciting, really exciting to me. And today's really all about doing self-reflecting to really figure out what that is that you are at your best self. So I'll tell you a little. I'm not going to tell you that much about the story because you have to watch the video. I tell you all about my story in the video. I'm not going to repeat it. We're just going to get to Q&A right now, okay? So I had some questions that came in before, but it looks like, we have Rachel, we have Ida. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to start going down some of the questions that we have before. And the questions are flying in, so I am going to ask John to kind of help me manage the questions that are coming in, but feel free to post them. I'm going to get started with some of the questions that came in before. I asked you guys, what are some of those challenges you're facing? Hi Sarah. What are some of the biggest frustrations that you have in your career? And so we're going to talk about I'm going to answer some of the questions that have to do with our topic today, which is really your passion, your purpose, your best self. I also wanted to read, so today we're talking about our best self, as you know, and you guys are all posting in the Facebook group what it is you do when you're at your best self. And I wanted to read some of them because they're super inspiring to me. I know every year what I think my best self is kind of changes, and that's totally okay. So I think this year I said my best self is when I'm teaching, when I'm training, and when I'm in a community of ambitious women just like this. So let's see. Jocelyn said, I am at my best self after a good night's rest with everything totally organized for the next few days. I love organization too. Cynthia says, I'm at my best self when I can add value to others and helping them discover their true passion, develop a vision for their future, and become the best version of who they are. Love that. Jill says, I'm at my best when I'm planning and organizing events for various groups and causes. So Jill, we have an event here in September and I would love your help. So I don't know where you live, but a lot of people need help with planning events. So, it's awesome when you can figure out what your best self is, and then the whole goal and what this whole challenge is all about is really helping you figure out how to match that with a career, right? That's what this is all about. And then Pamela said, I'm at my best self when I help people to discover solutions to their job search frustrations by developing a specific plan for their success. So there's so many more. Those are the ones I grabbed right before this Facebook Live. I love reading all of them. I'll be in the Facebook group all day, all week, and I'm excited to continue to see you guys share what you're doing when you're at your best self. Okay, so let's get on to some of the questions that have come in. The first thing I want to really tackle, because it just keeps coming up over and over again, there's 4 questions I saw this morning that all related to the same thing. So we're really going to start at figuring out how to figure out what that right career is for you. I know Rachel asked, one of her biggest challenges, what do I want to do? Ashley asked, what's my calling? And how do I really figure out what I'm meant to do? Brittany asked, what do I really want to do as a career? So notice this recurring theme. Jill says, finding the right career for me and chasing after it is my challenge. So I want to kind of walk you through 5 things that you can think about to help you figure out what your calling is. And we'll quickly go over this. We don't have that much time, but I'll quickly kind of walk you through a couple things that you can think about in addition to kind of the workbook that you're doing today. The first thing is really thinking about what your previous career experiences are. Like, what have you really enjoyed doing? What have you not enjoyed doing? So really making that list so you know those things that you've really, really enjoyed doing in the past, and we don't get you stuck back in a job where you're doing those things that you don't like. So that's really important. And then also really determining the second thing would be determine your values. So your values are those things that really motivate you in your career, and they change over time. So, when you first graduate from college, you'll have different values than when you have a family, later on in life. And so really figuring out, could be money, could be flexibility, it could be making an impact, helping people. So you have to know what motivates you in your career. The third thing that I want you to think about, and this also, Mary says, what skills I can update to gain more income. So this right here will answer Mary's question. The third thing you can think about today in determining what your ideal career might be is thinking about your favorite skills. So we all have these skills that we, might be really, really great at, but we don't really like doing them. I'm a perfect example for that. I started out in finance because I was great at finance. My college professor told me I should be in finance. And then come to find out, I hated finance. So I quickly got out of that. So thinking about what are those skills you have, but more importantly, what are your favorite skills? And then, of course, we always want to think about, number 4 would be your ideal work day and your ideal work environment. So kind of brainstorming, if you woke up in the morning and you could have any day that you wanted, what would be your entire day? What would you want it to look like? What would you do first thing? Where would you work? Would you work at home like we do? Would you work in an office with a team? Really brainstorming what that ideal workday would look like. And then the fifth thing really is thinking about what your mission and what your purpose is. And that is all about your best self that we're talking about today, because we each have a different sort of purpose, calling, mission. Mine is very different than everyone else out there. Mine's different than even every other, coach out there or CEO out there. We all have a different mission and purpose for our careers, and it's all about really figuring out what that is. So that's really why do you wake up every morning? We all have to have some sort of purpose and reason to wake up, to go to work. I know in my previous career as a consultant, we worked for the military. And so I did feel like I had that purpose. Like I was helping the government, the military. I was making a bigger impact. And so although the skills weren't right that I was using, there was some issues with some of my interests and motivations in that job, at least I had that bigger purpose, which is why I stayed there for 8 years, because I still had that purpose there. So really thinking about what your mission is, what your purpose is, and how that transitions into the ideal career fit for you. So I hope that gives you just a start. I know I don't have time to dive too much into everything. We do have a whole, I'll be telling you guys more on Friday. We'll be opening up doors to Love Your Career Formula, and that will give you way more picture of kind of what the steps are to find what your dream job is. But for now, that gives you a really, really good starting place, because I want you guys to start thinking about these things that can help you figure out what your dream career is. It's not job searching. It's not resumes. It's not even really networking in the very beginning. A lot of it is all the self-reflection, and that's what's missing a lot of times in certain types of job search training. So I'm all about the self-reflection. That's where we start here at Classy Career Girl. Let's do questions. Have we had any questions come in? It looks like it's hello. Oh, it looks like we have Treva joined, Kelly joined. Welcome everyone. Love vision boards. Yes. Vision boards are awesome. Definitely that's something you want to do. I used to have a vision journal so I could take it with me to work or wherever I was going, so I could look at it like in my bag. Do we have any questions that have come in that I've missed on the screen?
Lots of people just saying hello, saying where they're from. Tons of people, but no questions so far.
Okay. So lots of people joining, saying where they're from, and no questions so far. So if you have any questions about our topic of purpose and passion, or really overall any question about your career right now, this is where it's at. I'm going to be answering your guys' questions all the way through this challenge on the Facebook Live. Okay, Sarah has a good one. What is the first active step you would take to leave a draining job if you're the family breadwinner? Okay, so the first active step, and I do know that, Sarah, you want to start a business too. So I have a little bit of background on you. But the first active step would be to figure out your time management, and we're going to talk a lot about that in video number 3. That is the one thing, and that's funny because that's your topic. That's so funny because that's what you do. But I think really putting together your plan and blocking out that time. So I'm a big believer in just like 15 minutes a day is really all you need to really make that change. But it is hard when there's all that other stuff of like money and like there's all the stressors, especially if you feel like you're the breadwinner. But I think it's really all about putting the plan together and your desired goal end date for leaving and making that transition. A lot of stuff can change, but I know for me, when I became really serious is when I started investing in myself and really making that goal plan of okay, by December 31st, I am going to have transitioned to that next job, because that really motivated me. I started telling people. So that's a good idea for you as well, Sarah, is to really tell other people, to put it out there, to find an accountability partner, to find a mastermind group, to find, someone that you can learn from and share what your goal is as well. I know I have a mastermind group, and that has helped me so much in really putting myself out there and asking for help. We actually have a call later on today. Oh, I don't know if any of my mastermind ladies are in the house, but if they are, hello. It's just a great like support network for each other as well.
And getting out of debt, I think, is a big one. That helped us a lot for making that first step.
And getting out of debt. So yeah, John and I, years ago, we worked really, really hard. We followed the whole Dave Ramsey baby step plan to get out of debt. And I think that's a big thing. Instead of worrying about all your debt, you can actually focus on your career and doing what you want to do in your career when you don't have to worry about bills and being in debt and everything like that. So I think it is important to make priorities for your career. Obviously, you can't just quit a job if you have a lot of debt out there and if you have, a lot of bills to pay, and but you really have to be creative. And I think that is something that John and I have done. Obviously, we have this very crazy life, but it's because we kind of made the priorities and we let ourselves dream. And we just talked about vision boards. Like, we had a vision board of working together someday. We had a vision board of having a family and having a daughter, even though we had a lot of trouble getting pregnant and issues with that whole thing. But I still became very focused on, like, this is my dream life. Like, it is going to happen someday. I am going to have my own business. I am going to work full time. Because we needed my paycheck. Like, that was very, very hard. And so we worked really hard to put everything we could towards that debt. I have a great blog article about that as well. Maybe John will link to the blog article. It's like one of our most popular blogs on our website about how to get out of debt. So that's really important. Like, I'm totally, like I mentioned in the beginning, passionate about working not for a paycheck and working for a bigger purpose, but you can't work for that purpose if you need that paycheck for your debt. So it's just baby steps. I mean, that's really what this is all about. If you're looking at me, like, this is a lot of work, a lot of those 15-minute baby steps throughout the day to get to this point, because I started my blog all the way back in 2010. And so all that kind of every single day working towards a goal and a dream and continuing to move forward with that and never giving up. Any other questions that have come in? Your article about debt is awesome. Thanks, Sarah. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, we love like the Dave Ramsey like baby steps, because it kind of just simplified everything. It focused us in on what we needed to do first instead of like overwhelming everything too. But communication is big. That's really important, especially if you're doing it with a husband and wife. Okay. There was another question that came in. I missed it. Still figuring these Facebook Lives out.
Amanda asks,
Hi, Amanda.
what happens when you are passionate about multiple things? How do you choose? Do you have to choose? How do you manage both businesses?
Okay, so
Repeat the question.
Oh, well, that's hard because I missed it. Here, let me find it. Okay. Oh, Amanda. My Amanda from my mastermind. Hi, Amanda. What happens when you're passionate about multiple things? How do you choose? Do you have to choose? Okay, so let's start there. So I think it's important to explore what you're passionate about and to continue to do them. So for instance, for me, in the beginning of my career, thought I wanted to be a lawyer. So I explored that and I did informational interviews in that, and I went towards that and realized that it really wasn't very exciting to me. So I think, but I never would have known that if I didn't actually start doing informational interviews, talking to lawyers, really figuring out if that was the ideal career fit for me. So I think you're doing, and I know your background, because you do have two businesses that you're trying to juggle at once. So I think for you, I think it's doing what you're doing and exploring it. And in my mind, something will feel a lot more right than the other one. But you don't know that if you don't actually continue to start doing them. So for me, I was building a business on the side, but I was also job searching and trying to see if the corporate world was right for me as well. And then I changed into becoming a professor as well at DeVry. And I thought, I was doing what you're doing. I was juggling all of them at once until it became so crystal clear for me that my business had to be the one that was going to grow more than being a professor or working in the corporate world trying to be CEO that way. But it's just clarity, but I never would have realized it if I wouldn't have tried to become a professor. Right now, maybe I would still be thinking, gosh, what if I was a professor? Would I have loved to, or would that have been the ideal career fit for me? Which is why I think internships are so crucial. I know we've hired a lot of interns over the past couple weeks. Yay, welcome to all of our new CCG interns. And I think that is such a great way to get experience because they're coming with an experience that they want to learn more about and they want to see if that's the right career fit for them. Like marketing interns, like, is marketing right for me? Well, I'm giving them all this experience to see if that's the right career fit for them. So either then they can add that to their resume or they can be like, that really wasn't for me and let me try something else. So I do think at some point you won't have to choose. It will just become very clear. Like it'll be like that gut feeling that says this is the right direction for me because I can't do both at once. So, but if I just know what that right path is for me. So how do you manage two businesses? I don't know, girl, but you're doing it. Like that's tough to manage both businesses. But although I can sort of relate because I do have two sort of businesses that we run because we have Love Your Career Formula, which is one membership community, and then we have the Corporate Rescue Plan, which is another membership community. And so I do actually somewhat know how to run them both. And I think putting the systems in place so that you can do the what you love best in your businesses and focus on that as a priority is the most important. So for me, I've tried to delegate everything that I don't really, really love where I'm not at my best self and focus more on doing the things I really, really love in both of the businesses and both of the communities. So that's, like I said in the beginning, my best self is teaching, training, and creating communities. So that's what I do. That's why John saves the day and makes our business actually run and makes sure you get emails and make sure that all your orders go through and all of that stuff, because I'm not doing that. I'm only focusing on what I love to do the most. So I think it's possible to run two businesses. You just have to focus on delegating more and then only doing what you love to do most in both of those businesses. I'll see you later today for our mastermind.
So just to be clear, are you saying I do all the work that you don't want to do? Like all the crummy work that you don't like doing?
Yep, and he's really good at it. I mean, we never really realized when we got married. I mean, we've been married 10 years. We never realized that we would be ever running a business together. I mean, that was not in our vows. But what's cool is that we've realized is that my strengths and his strengths go really well together. Like my strengths, he doesn't have some of the strengths I have. I do not have some of the strengths he has. And they just really fit. So, but we had quite a few years of marriage before we decided to actually make this happen. I wouldn't recommend it right when you get married. It's a challenge. It is not easy. It may appear easy, but it's not. Do we have any other questions? Or should I go down my list?
Probably go down the list.
This probably isn't how I'm supposed to be doing it, where I'm like touching the screen, huh? I have more questions that came in earlier today that I can tackle. Awesome. Amanda says, awesome answer. Thank you. Alex says, yes, husband, that's exactly what she's saying. So remember, she totally owes you. I love Alex. She gets me.
Alex and I have been messaging. Alex, I'm liking you more and more.
Oh, Ida, that's awesome. You guys make it look fun. So it is fun. It's also stressful. There's a lot of late nights. We also have a 2-year-old, so that's fun as well. But I do think that it doesn't have to be like if you're running a business and this the whole topic of business kind of took over here, but it doesn't have to be your husband. Like it's all about just delegating the things that you don't like as much. Okay, so let's go to, we had a few other great questions that came in that I wanted to tackle today. So Jessica Kennedy says, I am challenged about organizing my ideas into an action plan. So I wanted to make sure you knew, Jessica, and everyone here, we have more great videos that are coming your way. One of them will be talking about action plans and commitments. If you've been around Classy Career Girl at all, you know that I love 90-day plans. It's like my thing. If you haven't downloaded your free 90-day plan, you can get it at www.classycareergirl.com/free plan. And that basically gives you my 90-day planning template, kind of like the very beginning of it, where you put your goals, your dreams, anything you want to get done in the next 90 days, you put them in chunks. So for me, it really helps. And once you see the template, it'll make more sense. But I love that I am focused right now on my September goals. I'm not worried about November or October right now. I'm only focused on the things that need to happen this month to reach my goals by the end of this year. So that's what the 90-day increments really help me do. It helps me see, okay, like I would list September and I would list, okay, here are all the things that I want to get done in September. October, here are all the things that I want to get done in October. And then on Friday, we'll be telling you about Love Your Career Formula as well. So if you want a specific action plan that covers how to figure out what your dream career is, we will be talking a lot about that on Friday. That's when that 4th video comes out. So I know a lot of you are still trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, and so that video will cover that. But just wanted to give you a heads up that that is coming. The action plan is coming. Okay, Erin says, I'm a repeater of this course now that I know what I want to do. Last time just helped me find that I was lost. Okay, so I hope that you guys, welcome again. You're right, we do this every single year, and it's such a good refresher, even if it helped. Connection? No? Are we back on? Okay. Even if realizing that you're not in the right career fit is great as well. I mean, it's not great because we want to be in our ideal career fit, but sometimes we just need like that jolt. I know for me, I've had personal challenges in my life that have been like that jolt that I needed to make a change. And so that's what this challenge could do for you. It could raise more questions for you, and that's okay. This is a safe place for that to happen. So even if, and it sounds like she did, let me see, it sounds like, I forgot her name, Erin did a lot of work last year to help you figure out what you want to do. And now you know what you want to do. Okay, so that's a huge success story because it takes time. I mean, that was a year ago too. And so it's all about starting to make that progress now and then getting to that point later where you have more of that clarity. And then you can start the job search process of actually doing the resumes and the networking and all that stuff. But it's really about the phases, starting in that explorer phase, which we'll be covering tomorrow, the 3 phases of your career and which one you're in right now. Okay, let's see, Alex. Alex says, with any of Anna's plans, you can use them for anything. I decided I'm about to mark off the days I don't have. For example, I only have 26, so I'm going to cut off all my immigrating things. So it sounds like if you don't have 30 days in a month, she's kind of changing it so that she knows she only has 26 days, so she's going to change her 90-day plan to make sure she fits what she needs to fit into that. So that's great. That's what it's for, is really chunking in. 26 days, 30 days, you can make a lot happen if you're very focused and prioritized. I'm actually creating another 90-day planner for you guys too. I hope to announce that here soon, but it's basically my system of getting things done as well. And it's created out of necessity because I haven't found a planner that really fits exactly how I work and how my brain works. And so I thought I'd create one for you guys all, for me, and then for all of you too, to hopefully help you as well. So that's a little heads up of what I'm working on behind the scenes here. And that's one of my goals and one of my passions as well, is something that I've always said is like, I want to create some sort of planner. And so with the help of the ladies in my mastermind, shout out to Amanda here, who said, if anyone can do it, girl, you can. And so that kind of support community can really help you move forward as well. Okay, so another question that came in is Erin Stephanie Davis says one of her big challenges is that she wants more confidence. So this is a big one. I know this is something that has confidence has haunted me. I know it's haunted a lot of you. I heard that over and over again in our Facebook group for the challenges that you're facing before we kick this off. And the biggest thing that I want to say about confidence and how it has to do with your career right now is when you stop and you focus and you self-reflect on yourself and what your ideal career fit is first. So when you take the time to figure out, what your passions are, what your interests are, what your calling is, what your purpose is, all the stuff we cover in Love Your Career Formula, if you take the time to do that, you're going to be more confident in those interviews. You're going to be more confident when you're out there networking because you've done that self-reflection. So in an interview, if someone asks you, hey, what are some of your skills? You're going to know that right away. You're not going to be like, oh, I think my skills are finance, like what I would have said. But because I had done the self-reflection, I knew my favorite skills weren't finance. And so you'll be able to be more confident and sell yourself more on the interviews or whatever sort of thing you're doing, even if it's just a casual meetup. If you understand yourself better, you're going to be more confident. So that's a big thing. That's a big piece. I know for me, so 2 years ago, we were in Brazil and I was speaking to 800 women there. And I was like out of my mind nervous. I was very, very scared. I was not confident. But I knew, so there's something called the imposter syndrome. And if you don't know about the imposter syndrome, I would highly recommend listening to our podcast, the Classy Career Girl podcast, number 48, where I interviewed Dr. Valerie Young. And the title of the podcast is How Successful Women Think. And the imposter syndrome she dives into, she's like an expert in imposter syndrome. And it's where you think you're not as qualified as you really are. And it's so important to uncover. I had a coach before I went to speak in Brazil. A week before I left, I was really nervous. And I didn't know if I was ready for my first international speaking engagement. It was like super scary and was totally dealing with imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be flown to Brazil by, this business school and teach and train to 800 women? And what she told me is, you will never not have the imposter syndrome. You will always have the imposter syndrome. It's going to be something that's going to constantly haunt you. And it still does today, but I'm aware of it because I interviewed her before, like a year before I went to Brazil. So I knew what the imposter syndrome was. I knew it was like this little thing in the back of my head saying, you're not ready. Who are you to do that? Who are you to speak in front of all these international women in Brazil and to be flown out and to be wined and dined? And that's all the stuff that was going in my head. So I think that's really important to realize is what are those thoughts that you're thinking and how that's affecting you. So when you're going into an interview, you're not thinking, oh, what if I fail? What if I screw up? What if they don't like me? What if I say something wrong? But you're changing your mindset and thinking really positive thoughts before that interview, before that networking event. Even if you're doing, one-on-one coffee meetings or informational interviews, all that stuff, it can even be on your resume. I mean, your confidence shows on your resume when you're submitting it as well. When I read a resume, I can tell if they're confident or not. When I read an email, and I've gotten a lot of emails because I put out a call for interns a month ago. I have looked at a ton of resumes that have come in, so I can tell your confidence even shows on your resume whether you really understand yourself as well. So it really all comes back into becoming more of who you are, 100% of who you are, more of your best self when you're figuring out what your career is. And so I love this topic, if you can't tell. This is as much as I have, we have trainings on resumes, we have trainings on, interviewing, salary negotiation, all that stuff. But I really love this part of really figuring out what that ideal career fit is for you. This is really exciting to me because there's so many roadblocks, there's so many things that can get in your way. But I've experienced what it feels like when you actually figure out what that ideal career fit is, and then you actually work really hard to make that happen. And then you're in the place where you're doing what your ideal career is, and you're more successful in it, you're more happy, you're more fulfilled. So I think it's just really, really important to take the time this week to go through this, to, even if it's just 15 minutes or 5 minutes, to really do some journaling or thinking about what your best self is. Okay, do we have any other questions that came in that I missed? Hi, Leonata. Oh, I hope I pronounced your name right. Hi, Marissa. Marissa is one of our new interns. Shout out to Marissa. Ida, yay, I love planners. Yes, we know you love planners. Ida's actually, I think she's actually seen the 90-day planner that I've been working on behind the scenes. Okay, so let's dive into, it keeps like cutting in and out, saying poor wireless. It's working? Okay. Okay, well, let us know if you're having any issues. Hopefully everything's working on your end. Okay. Jill Odin says, I'm hoping to figure out where my gifts and skills will be best applied in a career. Okay, so one tip that I wanted to tell you guys is to ask for feedback. So ask your friends, your family, your coworkers, ask them what they think your biggest strengths and skills are. Because often we're really hard on ourselves and we don't realize what we're really good at. And so if you start just becoming more aware of like, what are people asking you for help over and over with? Like, what do people come to you with? What awards have you received at work? What to, go through if you have annual appraisal process or anything like that. Like, what are people saying that you're really good at? And review those things and start making a list of what your strengths are. Sometimes it's hard for us. Like, we're so sometimes we can be so negative about all the things that we do wrong, right? Like, oh gosh, I didn't do that. And so shifting the focus on like, what do you do really well? And what are your strengths, and then asking other people what they think too, because sometimes it's just really an eye-opener when people are like, you're really good at this, and then figuring out, okay, those are all the things I'm really good at, but I also really enjoy doing those things, and then figuring out, what types of careers are out there where I could do both those things. And this all comes together, like what I'm really great at, other people say I'm really great at, what I really enjoy as well, and then putting that together. So figuring out where your gifts and skills are will be best applied in your career. And then thinking also about what you do for hours and hours, and it just flies by. So for me, when I started blogging, I could do it and still today, I can do it all night. I can do it all morning. Like, I need to go to bed because I could just stay up and blog all night, and write and be on social media and all that stuff, because I just love that. I love that kind of stuff. And so figuring out what could you do for hours and hours where it just flies by, you lose track of time. That's also a good thing to help you think about what that best career fit is for you. The other thing too, and we can talk about this later too, is doing informational interviews is a really good way to start investigating what types of careers are out there, what are other people doing in their careers. And really what informational interviews are for is to see if that's a good fit for you. So you can ask them questions, what do you do in a typical day? What do you like about your job? What do you not like about your job? How does someone like me get into the career that you have? What are some tips that you have? All those questions you can ask them to really figure out, okay, does that typical day fit what I'm looking for? And so I'm all about first self-reflecting, figuring out what your ideal career fit is, which is why we haven't talked about job descriptions or monster.com or LinkedIn or any of that today, right? Right? We're only focused on the part of figuring out what's best for you, what's your ideal career fit. And then later on, we can talk about all of that job search stuff, but you'll be so much more prepared for that job search stuff because you've already done the work of figuring out what your ideal career fit is. So we have I call it What's My Calling College and Love Your Career Formula that really walks you through figuring out what your ideal career fit is, what your calling is, and then we can help you find out what that job is for you. So really figuring out doing informational interviews as a strategy, but doing that after you figure out what your calling is. So figuring out what your interests are, what your purpose is, going through a lot of the questions that we talked about at the beginning of this Facebook Live, going through that first, And then adding informational interviews to your plate will give you so much more clarity, because then you'll know what you're looking for, and then you'll do these informational interviews and see what those careers are out there, and then we can match them together. This is not a short process. This is not like a 4-week training to do blah, even a 4-day training. This can be a long process, but it's such an important process for long term, because we don't want to wake up in 20 years and be stuck. So we want to do this work now so we can figure this out, get unstuck, move into a career that fits us better so that we can become more successful and happy and balanced, all that stuff. So that's what this is really all about. Okay. Ooh. Some good questions have come in. Okay, that's awesome. Oh, good, Jill. I'm glad you're here because I just answered your question. So that makes me feel really good when I answer the questions and you're here with me. So thank you for joining. So see, if you answer questions, or if you ask questions, I am going to answer them. So feel free to ask your questions. Okay. Marissa says, do you meditate or reflect each day on where you have been and where you're going? What are your best tips for self-discovery during meditation? Okay, so what I have done, and this has changed a lot over the years. There's been some times that I'm better at meditating than other times. But what I really, really love doing, I'm not an expert at meditation. I do know someone that I can point you to, but I'm not an expert. I have my weeks, so sometimes I do really good at it. I do know that it calms me, that it relaxes me. I do know that if I do it first thing in the morning, I have a better day. I'm a lot more relaxed during the day. So I try and do it right when I wake up and just kind of meditate for like 5 minutes, but I'm not always that great at it. So just being totally honest here. But what I do think is really, really important about this whole daily self-discovery process is that every day you write down 3 things that you're grateful for and 3 small successes that you've had. So it might sound like a lot, but I think it's really important that you're grateful for the things that you do have, especially if you're making that career transition. So you're grateful for coffee, you're grateful for your family, you're grateful for your computer, like things in your life that even if they're small things that you're grateful for, and focusing on that instead of how much your job sucks. Because that is the only thing that saved me when I was stuck in a job that I completely hated. I could not handle the days, but writing in that success journal and the gratitude journal got me through that period, that really, really difficult period of my life, where I was having a lot of personal challenges and then the work stress was just crazy. And so writing 3 things I was grateful for and then 3 small successes that I've had allowed me to see oh wow, I have done a lot. Even though I didn't really feel like I've been doing much, I actually have had some pretty big successes, even if they're small, and all that stuff really adds up in the long run. So that would be my reflection each day tip, is to write 3 things you're grateful for and 3 small successes that you've had. And we try and do that on our Classy Career Girl Network Facebook group as well, kind of helping you guys, figure out what small wins that you've had each week, because it's important not to get down on ourselves for what we didn't do, and instead to focus on what we really did get accomplished. Baby steps, that's what we're all about here. Okay, it looks like Chris is having, maybe she can update us. Has no feed. So this Facebook Live is recorded and will be posted right afterwards. So if you're having trouble accessing the live portion, or if you missed the beginning, you'll be able to access the recording. So no worries. Okay, Mila says, I have a question. What if we have done the job before that we believe is our passion? However, all of the settings we find are not ideal and we know that it won't fit. Should we compromise at some? Okay. I don't think compromising is needed, but I do think creativity is needed. So that's great that you do know what your passion is. Maybe if you think about it and you do some more informational interviews and some more research, you can find some careers that have the settings that are more ideal for you. So for instance, for me, working in a big cubicle with a bunch of cubicles is not my ideal setting. But when I was able to go ask my boss for so I was able to transfer to working from home, and that changed everything for me. So I was still doing exactly the same job, but I was in a work environment that fit me better. So maybe there's some ways that you can change it to be creative or to ask to make it fit you better. But no, I don't think if you know the type of setting, I'm assuming you're talking about the work setting, work environment. If you know what kind of work environment you need, I think it's really important that you focus in on that. You can test other environments out, but if you know it's what you need, that's work environment. You won't be happy if you're not in an ideal work environment. So it's very, very important.
Kelly Reeves asked a question. So she says, any recommendations for overcoming the fear of failure? For everything I'm considering, I do have apprehensions of success pursuing my passions. You kind of went over the imposter syndrome, but it's another good question.
Yes. Okay, so any recommendations for overcoming the fear of failure? It's real, right? Like, it's something that you're always going to have. It's not going to go away. But I do know for us, I'll walk you through some of the mindset things that we went through when we wanted to overcome our own fears. Obviously, starting a business is extremely scary, especially when you're a husband and wife team and you have a 2-year-old that have a family to support. So a lot of the questions that we asked ourselves, it was kind of, first we would ask ourselves, like, okay, what is the best that can happen? So if you go after this fear, this goal, this crazy thing, if you do it, what is the best possible outcome? Like, what could happen? And list out all of the best possible things that can happen. And then consider, what is the worst thing that could happen? Obviously, we don't like talking that much about the negative things here at CCG, but there's a conclusion to this. So what are all the worst possible things that can happen, right? And then the third thing you'll write down is it worth it to go all in? And usually when you ask yourself, is it worth it to face the fear, you'll realize, okay, it is totally worth it. So an example for us, after maternity leave, I didn't go back to my corporate day job. And it was tough, but we still had John's income. So we were still moving forward. And then a few months later, we felt like it was time that obviously I couldn't do it all by myself. So we felt like it was time for John to quit his job. And we asked ourselves these questions, same exact questions. What is the best that can happen if we go after our goals? Like, obviously, we would continue growing our business. We would be able to travel together, have more family time. We'd be happier, like listing all the best that could happen. And then we listed all the worst that could happen. Okay, so if our business completely flops and, we go under, what's the worst that can happen? Well, I'm pretty good at job searching and knowing how to job search. So I think I could probably get a job. I think my old company, probably I could get my job back, or maybe I could go teach as a professor and get that job back as well. So there were all these like worst case scenarios that were so scary to begin with. But then when I really evaluated like what is the worst that could happen, it was kind of like, oh, that's actually not that bad. If I had to actually go get a job, like that's not the worst thing that could happen, right? So I think that's really important to think about is what's the best thing that can happen, what's the worst thing that can happen, and is it worth it to go all in? And for us, completely, it was worth it for us to go in because the benefits outweighed the worst that could possibly happen. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And she said, for everything I'm considering, I do have apprehensions of success pursuing my passions. And it's not overnight. I mean, it takes a long time to get the success that you're probably looking to get. And so I would just recommend just keep going, getting that supportive network to help you. I know I mentioned this I've mentioned this a couple times, but we have that mastermind group and we meet regularly, and I put things out there that are totally scary and wouldn't share with anyone else. But the fact that you have someone else who can bounce ideas off of what you're thinking and give you that shove of like, okay, you can totally do this. That's really, really important. So I'm a huge fan of just, creating accountability and supporting each other and having someone else who's cheering you on. That's why I'm such a huge fan of accountability, that we put that into this mini challenge that we're having this week too, of finding an accountability partner that can kind of help keep you accountable in going through this challenge and finishing this challenge too. So maybe you'll be able to find someone in this group. This is an amazing group. If you haven't, you guys should all know that already, but I'm so impressed with everyone and love this group so much. So hopefully that helps, Kelly. Let us know. Okay. Oh, good. Chris Keller says it's back. That's good. Okay. I got Lola here. She says, hi Lola, I'm thinking about going to school for web design, and I also want to start my own business doing event decorating. These are somewhat different career paths, yet they're kind of similar. How can, oh, it cut off. Her final question cut off here, but maybe John can help me.
How can I figure out what I should pursue, or can I do both and then decide what the best fit for me?
Okay. So if you didn't hear, I did answer Amanda's question, which was a little bit similar about running two businesses. Your question is different though, because I like that you're asking about going to school piece and doing two different things, one going to school and one starting a business. So the first thing being, before you go to any school, whether it's master's or like college is a little bit different. I'm talking more like after college, before you take any sort of certification or master's or anything. In my opinion, I think it's really important to figure out what you're going to do with that and what you want to use that degree for, because it's a lot of money and it can add to a lot of debt on your plate if you don't really know why you're getting that MBA or that master's or anything. I've talked to so many people who wish that they didn't get the master's that they got because now they're $100,000 in debt and they're not using their degree. So I think, in my opinion, I think it's really important to know if you're going to get a degree to be doing those informational interviews that we talked about, talking to people who have graduated from that school, you know, what they're doing now. And I agree with you that you probably could combine the web design and the event decorating there. And I love this question too, because that's a great example of having multiple passions and figuring out a way to be creative and combine them together. So I see a lot there. I see that you could do web design for event decorators. You could do web design for decorators. You could do web design for event planners. There's a lot of ways that you could combine your loves. You could also do events for web designers, right? You could do, events for helping people create their websites. You know, you could teach people how to create their websites at events. So there's all these ways that she has these two passions and that she can combine them together. And that is awesome. I love that. I love that example. And I'm glad that question came up. So I don't think, if you have a desire to start a business, so that's another great question too. If you have this like passion to start a business, it's something that usually doesn't go away. It's something that you can learn about and get experience about, but most likely you probably will not be happy working for someone else if you just have this like big desire to be your own boss and to manage a team. So there's no reason you can't get started with your business right now or while you're in school. I know my blog started in 2010 and I still had a year left of my MBA program. When I was working full time, I was blogging, and I was going to business school as well. So going to school is a great time to actually start your business too. So maybe there's some ways that you can start that business plan while you're going to school, start getting clients. There's no reason to wait. There really is not, especially with social media and online and everything these days. It's a lot easier to get started. And web design is something that a lot of people need. I've noticed there's a need, and there's in my opinion, a lot of lack of quality as well, and trustworthy people that you can work with. So just an idea for you. I hope that helped, Lola. Okay. BK Harmon says, any recommendation to equilibrate my e-commerce and my full-time job and be successful? I'm not really sure I understand, but I can take a stab at it. If you can give a little bit, I think what you're saying is, how can you make maybe it's an e-commerce design. Do you want to have an e-commerce website? Is that how you take that as? Okay. So you want to have an e-commerce website, and you also have a full-time job, and you want to be successful. So I think that's totally doable. I think there's a lot of ways if you want to have an e-commerce store online. There's so many ways to automate that these days, especially if you automate your sales funnel so people are coming in automatically with advertising and leading them into purchasing your product. There's a lot of options that can happen. So I think my recommendation to you would be to automate as much as possible so that you can go to your day job and put everything into your day job, but then have things being done while you're at your day job. So I know for me, when my first payment, I sold an online course, and the first person that purchased it I got the notification from PayPal when I was sitting in my cubicle at my day job. And that's definitely a tip for you. If you do know that you want to start a business and you're very, very clear on the type of business that you do want to start, we do have a completely separate program that we're really not going to be talking about too much in this challenge, and that's called Corporate Rescue Plan. And so that might be something that you want to check out. It's at corporaterescueplan.com. But like I said, it's completely different. That's only for people who really know what they want to do, and they know that starting a business is right for them, and they want to learn how to do that stuff that we talked about, like automating their sales funnel, their marketing, all that stuff. But for everyone else here, we're not going to be talking too much about starting a business here. But that's where you would go if you want more tips to start a business. Okay, Rachel. Hello, Rachel. So I should formally introduce Rachel. Rachel is our new Facebook engagement intern here at Classy Career Girls. So you'll be seeing a lot more from Rachel in the Facebook group this week and hopefully for a long time. She is a student at UC Riverside, and she is also very knowledgeable about social media and marketing and all this stuff. And she loves to learn, and she wants to learn. So welcome officially to Rachel. She says, I'm about to graduate with a bachelor's degree in a year. My dream is to one day have my own business. So do you think it's necessary to get a master's degree in business for it? Thanks, Anna. Okay, this is a great question. So I'm a good person to ask because I did get my MBA at the Rady School here at UC San Diego. So here are the benefits of getting an MBA for me. For me, some of the benefits were having that network of people that I could count on, that I could trust when I was starting a business. I went into my MBA program not knowing that I wanted to become an entrepreneur. So the benefits for me to go get my MBA was to be surrounded by other entrepreneurs and to realize that I could start a business. So a lot of our classes were geared towards entrepreneurship. I really gained that confidence that I could turn my blog into a business when I graduated. So that to me is a very different. I think I was searching for like the confidence I was still searching for what should I be when I graduate. I didn't really know. So if you already know that you want to start a business, there may be more ways to self-learn rather than get a master's. So you don't need to have a master's to start a business. So I would probably want to know what type of business that you want to start, because that matters. What type of knowledge that you want to have. But having that master's, it's not a requirement for starting a business. A lot of the stuff I do now is all self-taught. I did like my own personal MBA program. That's something I recommend too. As you're in this last year of your bachelor's degree, have your own master's program. What is it that you want to learn? Because you can learn a lot on your own, studying in your spare time, reading in your spare time. So I don't think it's necessary. I think it can help you build your confidence though, and connect you to the right people that you need to connect with. And also if you're raising funding. So if you wanted to start a business where you needed to raise a ton of venture capital, then I think, an MBA could be helpful as well. But so tell us what type of business that you want to start, and then I can give you more tips as well. But that was a great question. I love talking about that kind of stuff. Okay. Let's see here. I think that is about all the questions that we have had come in. Anything else, John? Should we wrap it up? Any more questions? If you have any other questions, just post them below. I think that's about it. So let me kind of give you the outlook of what's to come here for the rest of our challenge. So thanks for joining us in the Q&A today. If you're listening to the recording and you didn't get to join us in the challenge, I will be jumping on Facebook Live the rest of this week. So don't worry, just post your questions in the Facebook group and I will bring them to our Facebook Live and answer them. So what's going to happen for the rest of this week? Obviously, you should have gotten the email this morning. Check your spam folder if it's not there, or email us at info@classycareergirl.com. And what we talked about today was your best self, really figuring out what do you do when you're at your best self, when you're helping others, when you're serving, when hours and hours fly by and you love what you're doing. So we're focusing on our best self today. Tomorrow, we are going to talk more about making a commitment and what type of commitment that you're going to make for the future as we move forward. And then we'll have another video on Thursday and another video on Friday. Don't want to overwhelm you, but there are plenty more videos coming. I'm super proud of this content in the videos. If you haven't watched them yet, it's like some of the best. This is why we're doing this the second year in a row, because it's one of the best pieces of content, these videos, that I've ever put out in my life. Like, I'm so proud of every single one of the videos, the workbooks, like everything in this challenge. So I don't think I've ever done any sort of promotion 2 times in a row, like ever. I've always been so critical of myself that like, I'm like, oh, that was a terrible video. I can never do that again. Like, let's throw that one away and never look at it again. But this one, like, these videos are just so right on. And I just even listened to it again this morning and I'm like, wow, that was a really good video. It even spoke to me now. Even though they were recorded so long ago, it still spoke to me of where I'm at right now in my own career and me being my best self as well. And then also I wanted to let you know, Friday we will be opening doors to Love Your Career Formula as well, and we'll have some more video training about that too. So that's just a heads up if you are looking for a little bit more help in the action plan area of what you should do next and how to really figure out what you should be when you grow up and what your calling is. Okay, so Rachel said, thanks so much. That was so helpful. I want to start my own natural skincare business and make my own products. You need to talk to Alex. Alex, and you guys in the comments connect because she has her own skincare, I think it's a skincare business, and is making her products too. Definitely. And you guys connect. You guys connect. I love connecting others. So you guys definitely connect. Treva says, thanks, Anna. Great info as always. Thank you, Treva. Glad to have you here. I'm glad you guys, I noticed a few of you were saying that you are joining us from work. So I'm glad that worked out. And so I'm glad you guys were able to join us. I think that is all. Are there any other administrative things that I need to make sure that they know about, John?
Nope, all good.
All good. Okay. And also just a reminder, if you have not signed up for the challenge and you want these videos and workbooks that we're talking about, go to www.classycareergirl.com/challenge. And we will see you in the Facebook group. I'll be in there all today, and then we'll see you in the video tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye, everyone.